Hello and welcome back to the Brodeurland Show. I'm so glad you're here. Today's topic on the Brodeurland Show is being reflective. That's right. Now, a lot of you guys might have heard in your life, hey, look back to your past. Use that to motivate you. Use that to move forward. And you know what? That's exactly what we're going to talk about today when it comes down to being reflective in your life. And to do that, we've got 3 topics that we're going to talk about today to really embrace how you can be reflective in your life. And first, we're going to talk about, well, Mr. Broder, how can I be reflective in my life? Second, time to look back to that past. Time to look back to your life so you can make the road ahead even clearer. But third, here's the deal. When you look back, don't spend too long because you don't want those successes to get to your head. And you also don't want those mistakes and failures to bring you down. So, look at me blabbing about. It's time to jump on in. It's time to explore that Brodeurland definition of being reflective. So without further ado, let's dive on in right now. So the Brodeurland definition for being reflective goes like this. Look back at things that have been done or said in order to learn from and move forward with a purpose. Now that you know the Brodeurland definition for being reflective, we really got to dive down deep and really explore how we can apply being reflective to our very lives. And to do that, I've got 3 quotes lined up that really embrace the idea of being reflective, and so we can learn how we can apply it to become that best version of ourselves. So what are we waiting for? It's time to dive on in. It's time to start. So let's take a look at our first quote right now. Our first quote today is by Katie Martin, and Katie says this: reflection, looking back so that the view looking forward is even clearer. One of the most important aspects of being reflective is, you know what? You actually got to look back, and you got to look back at your mistakes, but also your successes as well. So let's start with the hardest one, our mistakes, right? Man, is it so hard to take a look, to relive those mistakes, those setbacks that we had. But it's so important to do so. We've got to learn from them. You've got to be willing to ask yourself, okay, what is it that went wrong? How can I improve on them? And how can I move forward with resilience to get back up and keep marching forward to be better? But also, don't forget, you got to also look back at your successes. Yes, it's great to have a success, but you got to be able to repeat it. You got to be able to look back and ask yourself, what went right? How can I repeat it? But also, how can I improve upon that success? Now, always remember too, when you reflect back, you don't want to spend too long reflecting back or you'll never move forward. And we're going to get into that a little bit later in this video. But for right now, let's dive a little bit deeper. We got to jump into our second quote right now. Our second quote today is by William Hewell, and William says this: every failure is a step to success. Now, most of us, we hate failing, right? We hate having those setbacks. It freezes us to think about failure. It paralyzes us. It really stops us from trying new things. And that's why here in Brodeurland, I've got 2 goals for everybody to really live by. And that first goal is you got to be able to build confidence in yourself. And that leads straight into the second goal, which is to become that best version of yourself. You see, most of my life, maybe until about recently, I hadn't really been that confident in myself. I really had to work hard at it. And it didn't happen overnight. It took time and it took years to really get to the point that I'm at now. And hopefully in the next couple of years, I can get even better. But it takes time. And you see, with confidence, now I'm willing to try things and I'm willing to learn from those mistakes. Sometimes I even look forward to those failures because it gives me something to learn from, and it almost is kind of like fuel to my fire. It motivates me to get better, and it motivates me to go, hey, that didn't work, let me try it this way, right? See, use those failures as building blocks to successes, right? As those experiences that will help you to get better. But here's the deal. Don't let those failures and don't let those successes really get to your head. And that's going to lead right into our last quote. So you know what? What are we waiting for? Let's dive into it right now. Our final quote today is by Drake. And Drake says this: never let success get to your head and never let failure get to your head. When it comes down to reflecting, it is so important to make sure that yes, you look back at those mistakes and successes, but here's the deal. Only for a moment. That's right. You see, if you look back at those mistakes and those successes and you never turn yourself around, you're never going to be moving forward. And especially with those mistakes, we can find ourselves really dwelling on the past, right? Really allowing those mistakes to bring us down, to paralyze us, to freeze us to where we don't really want to move forward. We really just want to stay in our own place. And sometimes we revert back to our old ways. No, you can't let that happen. Definitely not. But also, let's talk about those successes. You can't let those successes get to your head. No. You see, yes, you have a success and that's great. But you got to be willing to learn from those successes. See if you can repeat those successes and see if you can continue to improve. That's what's important. You see, at the end of the day, it's like driving a car. You don't look in the rearview mirror the whole time you drive. No, that's going to be a disaster. You look for a moment, you assess, and then you turn back around and you keep driving forward, right? That's the key with being reflective. Can you look back for a moment? Can you take your life's adventure, really turn it around, and really march forward with what you've learned to improve yourself and to become that best version of yourself? So always remember, you make each day a special day by just you being you. There's no one in the whole world like you except you, and I like you just the way you are. It's good that you exist, but you got to go out there. You got to be reflective. You got to be willing to take the successes, but not let them get to your heads, but also take your failures and not allow them to bring you down, but use them as fuel to move forward to become that best version of yourself. So until next time, Broder out. Peace.